Well, I think when we assembled earlier and we started to look at our personnel, we really thought that this team had the potential to be one of our better defensive teams that we've had in the last few years. We've obviously been offensively oriented. If you study my roots, I kind of am too. I'm from the state of Iowa, 6-on-6 basketball. There's a lot of point scoring. But I really thought when we looked at this group, Kylie Feuerbach holding Matilda Eck to 2, Lucy Olson's long and lean, Sid Affolter is a really big, strong guard, and then Hannah's just, she's kind of that versatile. She can post up and guard, 6'5", and then she can counter Rose Michal, right? So we just really have spent a lot of time on the defense because with our offense, we graduated so much. The points, the percentage, the field goals, all of that, that I just wanted to try to have a counter. And I think tonight that it showed. And I'm really, really pleased with that. Now we got to keep consistent. But that's what we were trying to put an emphasis on. And I was pleased about the effort tonight.
People are talking a lot about how this is a historic moment for women's basketball, but of course Iowa has had a lot of historic moments in the past, the 6-on-6, the Title IX, all of that. You've personally experienced a good bit of that. As your players experience this moment, what do you think they need to know about that past?
Well, one thing that I'm grateful of is I had strong female leaders in my life growing up. I've played for incredible coaches, including one of my best friends, Lisa Bluter. And one thing we've always done when we were at Drake together is we tried to always talk about the past. And when we were at Iowa, every 4 years we would bring in Dr. Grant, and she would give our team a presentation. Because we thought it was important that the young women understood that it wasn't always so. It wasn't always like this, right? And so I think we're really at another, a juncture really is, arguably, in my opinion, Caitlin Clark and Lisa Bluter and company, they moved the needle that really hasn't been seen before, right? But I think that was also on the shoulders of a lot of other things. So now I think everybody, the trick, you see the W trying to capitalize on it. You see every college team trying to capitalize on it. And I think you just have to continue education. I think you have to remind them of why it's important to be grateful for the moment, why it's important to continue to get friends and family to support women in all sports, not just women's basketball, but get them out to the field hockeys, get them out to volleyballs, get them to understand that, women's sports, there's a lot of leaders that grow up in women's sports. And it's just not about the end of the day, the wins and the losses. And I think that sport is such a microcosm, and it is such a great way to grow leaders. And I think limiting it all those years to just paying attention to men was a disservice. And so educate, 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 and gratitude, gratitude, gratitude.
Tyler DeLuca, No Cap Space. Coach, you mentioned kind of at the beginning of this, very similar situations between Iowa and Virginia Tech. The coach taking over, losing some players. I'm just interested, you mentioned also kind of learning and growing in this process. For you, individually, as you watch this game, what did you learn about this team tonight in this game?
Yeah, I think that's the thing is like, people always ask, how you doing? What's it like? And it's being in the head chair is, strangely similar, strangely different, right? And I'm constantly learning and critiquing what I do and what I don't do well. But I think what I learned tonight is that, they were pretty hard-nosed, it probably wasn't the prettiest of games, but when you win it, it's gorgeous, right? But I'm smart enough to know that it was a really herky-jerky when we were up. But I really had never put him in that position. I was thought back, I was wanting them to milk the clock and then make something. And then I kept going to well, let's run this, run that. And so their flow wasn't that great, but we haven't practiced that. So I learned that, I need to learn what I really want in those situations. But I think what I really like about this group, I'm just so thankful because I couldn't have had a better group. I've said this a lot, to have a crack at it. And they just deserved a moment. Not that Vatek didn't, we're all biased, but they really made the adjustments at halftime. We really asked them to do some different things and they did it. And I was really, really thrilled to see Addison O'Grady, our 44, 9 for 9. That kid has never been in that type of a role. So just those things when you come, it really don't matter about the win or the loss, but to see a kid grow and get that confidence, I think that might be my favorite part of coaching. But that's what I learned tonight. I saw some resiliency. I saw some, meeting the moment and beating the moment. And so, we're going to have, it's going to go all over, right? But anytime you can get it didn't get any better. You have a really good opponent on a neutral floor. That is just a great, great experimental time. So I'm happy for them.
I wanted to ask you, obviously you mentioned Addison O'Grady, the 9 for 9, 18 points, great performance. I wanted to ask you about that set you guys ran with her, where she would get the defender away from the basket and kind of just thump it down to her and she would get the easy layup. Was that something that was intentionally ran by you guys, or is that just something that she was doing?
Yeah, being an old post coach is my favorite all-time place. It's just a counter to, if you front the post, it puts the onus on the passer because they got to make a heck of a pass. You're hoping that they won't, and you're hoping on your weak side. If you play behind the post, it puts more of the onus on your post defender. And I just, you have to have both if you're going to be a good post player. And, we blew some passes on occasion, but that's just a really nice, relatively simple set. But it's really hard. And then sometimes we all make basketball pretty complicated and hard. But I've always taught our post players, and by the way, Randy Henderson is our new coach that we hired, who's done a phenomenal job. She coaches the post now, so she gets all that credit. But my personal opinion is just this or that. Keep it simple. And if they're going to play in front, you're going to try that. If they're going to play behind, we're going to try this. Yeah.
Last question. To follow up on the defense, what was kind of the defensive approach for you guys against them going into the game that maybe thought you wound up executing pretty well?
Well, we really wanted to limit Eck. Now Eck came out of Michigan State, so I was pretty familiar with her. And Rose, number 4, is the backup from Minnesota, so I was pretty familiar with her. And I just knew we couldn't let Eck get on a roll. So that was first and foremost. And then I thought we'd had a size advantage, but Rose is a little bit quicker than our post. So that was the give and the take, right? And we had to know our personnel. So they did a great job limiting Eck. And I thought we did a good job with their transition. When you're watching the first games, everybody, they're usually a win. So you can't really get a great feel. But they scored a lot of points against Wilmington, and they got up and down, and they shot the 3 really well. So we wanted to limit threes, slow their transition, and really make sure Eck didn't go crazy. So I think they really, understood the assignment. So and hats off to Virginia Tech. They got a lot of learning and growing to do too. And I know they're really great players, and they just probably missed some shots they wish they would have hit, and necessarily wasn't us. So I think, and Megan, Kathleen Doyle used to play for us. She's an assistant coach on their staff. She was the Big Ten Player of the Year. So I told Kathleen not to give all of her secrets away. And she didn't even play this offense. We played the triangle with her, but anyway, that's what I was happy about.
Thank you, Coach.
Right.